Hello and welcome to FinTech Impact. I'm your host, Jason Pereira. Today on the show, I have Divine of Notes Technology. Notes Technology is an online platform that helps empower independent urban artists to basically be able to reach out and monetize their own creative works directly and with fewer intermediaries. And with that, here's my interview with Divine. Divine, thanks for taking time today.
Thanks for having me, brother. How you?
I am excellent. So, Divine, tell us about Notes Technology.
So Notes is a financial technology and AI powered platform built to empower urban music artists and creators who are independent and connecting them with access to capital, financial tools, and education.
Excellent. So, we're going to dive into how it does all of that. But first, we're going to start with the origin story of it. How did it come to be? Why did you create this?
There's been a long-standing problem in the traditional music industry where artists are exploited or taken advantage of and don't really reap the benefits, creativity. I've always seen major record contracts as one-sided where the lion's shares go to the record labels who really operate as a finance company, if you would. They put the money up, they build the artists up, they build the fame, but most times the artist only gets the fame and not the fortune. With that long-standing problem, being that I was also a professional independent hip hop rap recording artist myself, I knew and understood this problem for a long time. I got into the technology space about 11 years ago. And as I was in the technology space, for years I just kept ruminating on how could I take this technology and leverage it in the music industry and empower the artists in a way they haven't been empowered before by putting the control back in their hands, giving them the information and knowledge they need about how the music business works so they can be well informed and make educated decisions. And so I was connected to hip hop rap recording artist Rakim, who's a legend in the game, greatest MC that ever did it, and connected with him, pitched him and his team. Notes was born.
Excellent. All right. So let's dive into the problem you're trying to solve. And it's interesting because there is a bit of a parallel between the venture capital world and the music world, right? Because, like you said, they're finance companies. What they're
Yes,
doing is they're fronting a bunch of money for production and promotion of new artists in the hope that one of them hits. And for every nine or 10 that don't hit, they get the one who ends up being big and pays
yes,
off for all of it. So, to be fair,
yes,
there's risk. So, there's a reason to the one-sidedness, but it does create a disparity in the payout, especially for those who don't get to megastardom, but get some success. They really don't reap the rewards the same way a megastar would. So you saw that problem. So talk to me about how you seek to solve it.
Okay, so it goes back to knowledge. The record labels put up the majority of the cash, all the cash in the major record deal, but it goes back to knowledge. If somebody enters a negotiation well informed about their value and how to leverage their value and how to position their value in a way where it makes sense for everybody involved on a more fairer playing field, then the game changes. But the fact is that most of these artists don't have this knowledge. They're not well informed about the music industry, how it works. They don't consider themselves as valuable, right? They enter this in a one-sided way and feeling they're one-sided because they're not empowered with the information and knowledge they need. So the way that we look to solve this in several ways. A lot of times independent urban music artists and creators lack the financial capital necessary to independently establish themselves in their career and build it to flourish. So we connect them with people who offer personal loans or companies rather that offer personal loans. We connect them to credit. We teach them financial literacy, how credit works, how they can leverage credit to support whether it's marketing, whether it's distribution, whether it's even recording their art and promoting and marketing, how to get the capital to do that. We also teach them about financial literacy again, how all that works. But also we connect them with education and knowledge about the music industry and how they can leverage that to be successful.
You're addressing a lot of problems that exist in business and I'd say in any craft. There's this thing called the artist dilemma, right? Where the artist wants to, again, the business to do their art, right? Like they basically, I don't care if you're a sculptor or if you're a rapper, whatever you are, you love doing the thing you do and you want to monetize it. Great. But the business of monetizing the art is a completely different skill set, right? And that's where, unless you develop those skills, you are never going to get anywhere, right? You can be lucky,
Exactly.
but you can never get anywhere. I always use the example of Picasso versus Van Gogh. Van Gogh died penniless and he had other mental health issues and whatnot. But He would even trade paintings for like beverages. That's how little he thought they were worth. Meanwhile, Picasso died the richest artist ever to live, and part of it was his charisma and his ability to monetize and understand the value of what he was doing and how to distribute it. So it is incredibly important that if an artist wants to basically not fall prey to the information asymmetry that exists here, because people can take advantage of this. You can have benevolent actors in the industry who basically do nurture artists and do good things for them, or you can have those who lock them down we've heard all the horror stories about these contracts that people can't get out of, that they signed when they were super young, whatever else it is. So yeah, people get preyed upon. It's very straightforward. You're trying to resolve that issue by eliminating that kind of blindness, and in a lot of ways, like giving them the base level information to think of their art as a business.
A commodity. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And think of themselves as business people. A lot of artists don't, because most artists are more creative than they're more creative than anything. So businesses is for them is not something they look at, a skill set they think they need, right? So they have the lawyers, they have the attorneys. But what Notes is doing is giving that education, both around entrepreneurship and the music business. And we do that through a seasoned artist like Rakim, who has a 40-plus year career, who understands the ins and outs of the major music industry. He also understands it from being an independent artist at one time and going to a major and then coming off a major and being independent, if you would. So he has his history, he has his insights that these younger artists coming up in this generation wouldn't have. And it would take years for them to accumulate that information, knowledge, and experience. But we give it to them, and we give it in a way, like you said, it is base fundamentals, so they can build on top of that, so they can control their career, they can go into these deals informed and know what's good and what's bad. And we're a platform that's AI empowered, so our AI empowered component assists in that a lot.
So we'll come back to the AI piece in a bit, but I want to set the stage with all the different
Yeah,
things you do first. But the thing is, and what you're doing by having Rakim on the platform altogether is like it's one thing to be told it, it's something else to have someone who's lived it, been there, and had the scars done and is known for that. And that story, I'm sure if you want to hear his story, you can look it up pretty easily. He's going to be open about it, right? And to be able to take those lessons in a curated way to basically apply them to your own life. It's very different than just picking up these things from other people or being told what to look out for.
right.
Right. Okay. So you start off with the entire education piece as a foundational building block, which is absolutely vital to basically make them see what it is that they need to be doing. You provide them with a number of financial FinTech tools to help them budget and capital and think about their capital. So can you explain to me like what you're doing on that end to essentially, I'm going to say the best way to look at it is to help them like adult their business side, right? It's to help them like mature themselves into a business mind.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what it is. The entrepreneurship education, the music business education, that's core to them understanding how the business works, how to turn their creativity into a business, to look at themselves as business people, and to get that business acumen they need necessary to navigate the music industry that's very predatory. And if we think about the components that we have, understanding credit, having access to the credit score, knowing how that whole credit system works, which is a system within itself, right?
Mhm.
So this is heavy learning, right? This is learning. So there's a strong ed tech component to this as well. And I always think that the knowledge is the foundation. What you don't know can not only hurt you, could kill you. So you really to be aware that bringing that level of awareness to people who really take their career seriously and really want to build something that's lasting legacy in the same way that Rakim was able to do it is really a benefit of the platform.
Excellent. So you educate them, you give them the tools to plan it out, and then you give them access to capital. You give them access to credit. So talk to me about, first off, how that works in terms of helping them along the way, but also who you let into the platform. Because again, you're being very nurturing here. So I'm guessing not just that no predatory lending is happening here.
Yeah, no predatory lending. We're screening companies. We're working with some companies now as far as in talks with them to bring them onto the platform. And it's really just creating this marketplace, if you would, where it's curated by us. We have personal lenders on there, and we also have credit card companies that we're looking at to offer the credit side to this.
Yeah. And the reality is credit cards may not be the best option, but sometimes it's, well, facilitating a lot of stuff online, it's the only option. And
Yeah.
secondly, there are, again, just steering them towards the ones that are going to be less damaging or more beneficial to them absolutely is a service in itself. So you wrap up this type package and you basically essentially have a bit of a community aspect to all this, but then you overlay artificial intelligence. So talk to me about what artificial intelligence is doing within the platform.
Yeah. So within the platform, the artificial intelligence is working through what we call Ask Notes, which is you can ask the platform general questions around entrepreneurship, financial literacy. And then we have this more personalized component with AI called Ask Ra. So it's almost like you're asking Rakim questions about the music industry and you get those answers. Of course, where you have pre-populated prompts that you can use that are very effective. But what's also great about that is that we actually have Rakim's voice. So Rakim actually, which has an iconic voice, everybody knows that voice when they hear it. We're leveraging that almost similar to an Apple Siri, if you would. So it's a hybrid AI agent, AI assistant, and it's in Rakim's own voice, so you can actually get that information and knowledge from Rakim himself.
Now,
So
if
the
it rhymes the advice, that would be fantastic, but you don't have to go there.
yeah, we curated Rakim. The knowledge base is built around Rakim on Rakim, so you get the actual feel, tone, characteristic of his voice and how he would speak, and so it's more personalized for the user.
Fantastic. Good. All right. So you help them set up. Tell me about how you continue to nurture them along the way. As their journey evolves, as they make money, as they pay it back, how do you continue to nurture them in their experience?
Yeah, so we have other tools, writing tools that are built into the platform. One's called Notes Writer. We have one called Notes Analyzer that analyzes lyrics. We also have a Notes Imager that can create artwork and promo assets, album covers, what have you. You're really leveraging AI at the highest level that we can. And we also have community, right? So they can actually connect to other artists, other independent artists who are going through the same journey, have the same struggles, have the same challenges, and connecting with each other, peer-to-peer learning, knowledge sharing, and how do they help each other elevate, right? So it's really community focused and membership focused, which is why you have to become a member of Notes to even access the platform, period. We want to build this curated community of individuals who really want to go after their career and build legacy.
And I mean, it's interesting because you've merged, it's not just, you legitimately made it a creative platform, not just a finance platform for creatives, but you've actually included basically creative aspects, your notes, like the analyzer in itself. I'm sure you're looking for things like copyright or references to things that could cause issues. But the reality is that it's interesting because I don't think I've seen someone merge the actual art and the monetization that way within the music space. That's a little in the planning and community aspect.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the early response you've gotten to this. Like, what are you getting? What are you hearing from your customers at this point?
Yeah, we dropped the platform January, day before Rakim's birthday, actually, January 27th. It was a Monday. Weeks later, 40 plus urban outlets, mentions, and business outlets. So that was huge. Got a write up in TechCrunch, which was huge. Really, the response has been overwhelmingly positive. People need this, right? But you're always gonna have people that doubt. What do I have to pay for this? Asking those questions, and being leery and being cautious of different things. May think it's a scam, but having Rakim connected to it just gives us that credibility and that authenticity from the door. People recognize, right? Rakim is a global brand, 40 plus years, 40 plus year career in the music industry, connected to some of the biggest brands, the NBA, NFL, you name it. Rakim has done it. With that, I knew that the power of Rakim's brand would really open the floodgates for two sides, partnerships in the business side of people who want to partner with the platform, but also, of course, the core of it, the community, the artist community, these artists and creators. And it's something new for Rakim. He's always been known as an innovator. So having such an innovative platform, like you said, that's comprehensive and touches all these different aspects of artists and creators, a career is unprecedented, especially having Rakim involved with it. So we're excited about that. But again, it's been overwhelmingly positive. We built a wait list in the thousands already. So we're looking forward to launching this thing soon. Very, very excited about it.
A wait list into thousands already. So clearly you've never mind his name, you clearly have basically found demand. Like it is very much something that the community is basically saying that they need.
Yes, absolutely, without question. Further going on that whole, the product market fit, but I mean, the proof of concept is there. The MVP is 99% built out. So we're looking forward to launching soon.
Probably out by the time this airs. All right.
Right, right.
Excellent. So that's the MVP. And first off, I don't want to get you to give away too much, but what thoughts do you have about how you plan to evolve this going forward? If you look forward 5, 10, 15 years, this thing's a massive success. How is it you want Notes to evolve to support the community lives journey?
Yeah, I would say this. I'd say that from the door, Notes has a lot of features and benefits, right? In general, in conventional wisdom, if you would, in startup wisdom, it shouldn't probably have as many as it has. But in analyzing the problem and looking at how Notes is a solution, I really understood that this has to have multi touch points for artists, right? It can't be just one thing. It couldn't be just say, okay, we're connecting you with resources to find capital and credit. There's so much more that they need. And really, it boils down to the knowledge. So for me, the knowledge has always been the foundation. And how do you structure these different components around the knowledge base, which they need, the information, whether that's knowing how to find capital, how to leverage credit. It could be used negatively or positively, good or
100%.
bad, right? We know that good debt is good, right? And bad debt is bad,
That's
right?
it.
So there's different ways to leverage credit as a tool for these individuals to really get their career started. Imagine if someone like Kanye, for a good example, started and he had the capital to be the creator that he is today. Because now he has the capital, right? So now he's independent. Now he's doing all these things in business. But imagine if he started like that, where he would be, right? He didn't
Mhm.
need the middleman of a record label, right? But you often have to go through this journey. Ben Horowitz says it best. There's no shortcut to knowledge, especially knowledge gained by experience. So most times you have to go through the experience. Most people don't learn from the experience of others. A wise man does, but most people aren't that wise
No,
to learn from that. They have to go through it themselves. Notes is consider notes like a companion to your career, right? It's like that compass to find your direction. It's like that private banker at the bank that's willing to help you because they see the potential in you, even though bankers don't move like that. But imagine that, right? Imagine that someone could actually see the potential of what you're doing. Notes is that companion. Notes is that opportunity for these individuals to take control of their careers, navigate an industry that has been one-sided for so long, and really flourish and build these legacies that, in similar ways that Rakim was able to build his legacy.
absolutely. So, and you think about where this can go down the road. This is early. You're trying to help people who are getting started, but I also vision how you can basically be with them along that success journey, right? And building out access to other financial services as they become successful, not just lending, but investing and stuff like that. But you're starting at the reality is the market need is at the bottom, right? There's plenty of options for people with money. There's not a lot of options
Exactly.
for artists who are trying to basically get there.
Or the starving artist.
It's not a cliche. It's a real thing,
It's a
right?
real thing. Exactly.
So you take that and you think about, I'm curious to see how you evolve over the coming years because I can totally see as people start to move up that ladder. And of course, you're going to start with a very large base of those who want to accomplish, and several are not going to get there. Some of them are going to get to a point of level of success, but you can mature up the ladder as you start to see those numbers start to come up.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, and to continue on from what I was with your initial question around that was we're looking at banking, we're looking
Yep.
at our own debit card, we're looking at payment systems, payment services, peer-to-peer
Yeah.
payment services. So looking into that, much like a Cash App, if you would. Cash App has definitely leveraged the urban community heavily to get their level of success. Albeit they had a lot of money beginning with. When you're able to touch the community in the right way and resonate with them and they gravitate and latch onto this, then you have certain success. And also we're also looking at the integration of cryptocurrency as well. So definitely looking at different ways that this can mature, add-on services, life services as well, health insurance. A lot of artists don't have health insurance. So we're looking at that in the future. And like you said, investing, micro lending, like all these different aspects and features to really build this holistic platform that is really an empowerment engine.
Yeah, if you take that view on it, there's very little that falls outside your kind of scope, right? Like everything from you said payments, like you could have literally ability to support your artist online by basically paying them online. Ability
Right.
to help empower that is huge. And yeah, and I think you're thinking right. You're thinking about base level needs first, right? You're thinking about lending, banking, investing, payments, all of that
Yeah.
basically to support their entire experience. There's a lot of potential there, and especially when it's actually tied together around the entire deep understanding of a niche. Could you have 30 years ago started up a company to help people the same way? No, because you basically wouldn't have the infrastructure to work off of. Working off of challenger banks and all the and basically putting online marketplaces for credit, which already you can white label some of those that exist
Right.
out there.
Past platforms.
Yeah, that's it. Like the fact that those things are now like API calls. You could literally just take a
Right.
bunch of best in class vendors, tie them together, and create an experience that specifically speaks to a community deeper than any generic marketing ever would. And more importantly, understands their problem and tailors the solutions around that. So the potential for borderline infinite number of niches compared to us all settling for vanilla banking services is immense.
Exactly. I see the future of notes to be a player at the forefront because there's nothing like it that exists. And the way that we're approaching it is so different. Having Rakim is just, that's like the icing on the cake that just really sets us apart and makes it a unique solution for a very unique need.
You keep on dropping his name for good reason. At the end of the day, it's a huge credibility factor to have someone who's been there, done that, and they can believe when he speaks.
Yeah.
Now, he can tell you exactly how the industry tried to screw him. That's legitimately something there to
Exactly.
warn
I
you
mean,
about. Yeah. Yeah. So before we wrap up, there's three questions I asked everybody on a positive note. The first one I have for you is if you had one wish, something you could change in your company or the industry as a whole, what would it be?
in the industry, I'd love to see artists, from a label's perspective, artists to be looked at as partners, right? Not just contractual employees.
Yeah. I'm with you on that, but I also think you got to find the monetary incentives that make it line up that way. And I
Yeah.
think that, but I will say district cost of distribution is far lower. It's cost of promotion more than anything else these days.
Yeah.
So
But let's look at Ryan Coogler, though, the deal he just made for this movie Sinners.
yeah.
Unprecedented type of deal. He said these deals have been going on. We haven't really heard of them. He got the deal. Has a black man ever got a deal like that in the film industry? I
Well,
don't know.
you have to work with,
So why can't we do these type of deals in the
yeah,
music industry with artists?
true enough. Once you get to a certain level, it becomes possible. Question is
Right.
how you make that kind of deal more accessible at lower levels.
Exactly.
So second question is what's been the biggest challenge in getting the company to where it is today?
Just capital, really. We're still raising capital, and the capital we need to really take this to the next level. We're currently fundraising. It's a capital thing because everything else that we have in place is positioned to scale once we get the right capital in.
Yeah, I can totally see that being a challenge given the market you're trying to serve and the stereotype of the starving artist, right? I'm sure companies are going to look at you sideways and be like, okay, what's the default rate going to be on these people? That's the
Right.
reality of it, right? So you're probably dealing with a bunch of negative stereotypes around that, but you're also saying, look, we're trying to change the paradigm on this and create a more educated, informed, and well thought out consumer for you so that, hey, if they go through all of this, and I'm sure once you launch and you have several years with the data, you'll be able to say, oh, you had this amount of default. These are
Yeah.
the people who didn't do all our courses. The ones you
Right.
did, guess what? Those people,
Exactly. Look at them.
exactly. And then
Efficient.
you'll be able to go back and you'll be able to go negotiate better terms or make it a qualifier and do figure out all kinds of stuff to make it more effective. So yeah,
Absolutely.
totally get that. Lastly, what excites you about the most about what it is you're working on and gets you out of bed in the morning to keep on fighting the good fight?
Oh man, since I was a kid, I've been an artist. I've been a creative, and in hip hop, urban music has always been my first love. So it was great getting into technology, so I could leverage that and merge that with the music side of things in the music industry. But really, it's like almost I'm able to live in all the worlds that I love, right? The power of technology, loving to empower people financially, so financial empowerment, and just loving the game of the music, right? Those are the things, man, that really keep me going. The art of the game, just being involved and being able to do what I do as an entrepreneur, wake up every day and go after my dreams and help people go after their dreams.
Excellent. I can only imagine how much better you're going to feel about all this struggle when hopefully a couple of the people, several people on your platform actually achieve wild success and we'll be able to credit you for helping that. Reality is you're going to help some people's dreams come true. So thank you very much, Divine, for taking the time today. I sincerely appreciate it and I wish you nothing but the best of luck.
Likewise, thank you, brother, for having me.
My pleasure. So that was Divine of notestechnology.com is the website. If you are a creative looking for this kind of support, then I highly encourage you to take a look. By the time this podcast launches, it'll likely be launched. But as of right now, when we record in late May, I'm a little ahead of my recording schedule. It is still in wait. Hopefully by then, hopefully by the time it launches, it's good to go. As always, if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, take care.
This podcast was brought to you by Woodgate Financial, an award-winning financial planning firm catering to high net worth individuals and their families. To learn more, go to woodgate.com. You can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play, or find more episodes at jasonpereira.ca.